Welcome to the grotto. Welcome to the grotto. Welcome to the grotto.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Grotto in the Tar Pit. In this reality we live in, time is linear. It only goes in one direction. So no matter how much we might want it, no matter how much we've messed up, we can't go back and change something. Luckily, we serve an awesome God who gives second chances. Today, we're going to hear an example of that. Here's the story of Angie Pichardo. How you doing, Angie?
Hi, thank you, Sergio, for having me today.
Thank
I
you for
am
coming
super
on.
grateful. I'm super grateful for being here and be able to tell my story definitely about second chances.
Yeah, I like your background. Did you do that yourself?
I did. My sister actually made it for me.
Okay.
Correct.
um,
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and get started and ask you where you're from and who is God to you?
Okay. Well, I am Dominican, Dominican descent from Brooklyn, New York. I currently live in Pennsylvania, so I kind of got a little bit about everything.
Mm.
And
I hear a
God
little
is,
bit of that accent.
can you
A
really?
little
The
bit.
Spanish accent or the New
Yeah.
York accent?
I guess a little bit of both.
All right. Yeah, I get that a lot, but I'm trying to work on it, but it's just there, right? And then God to me, he's everything. So he's my number one. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So
With
can you tell
Jesus.
us how you
With
were
Jesus our Lord. Yeah.
okay. So how were
Yeah.
you raised? Tell us a little bit about your early life.
So early life, I was born here and I moved to the Dominican Republic when I was around 7. My sister was around 3. And then we just grew up there in my entire life until high school. I graduated high school and then came back here to college. I didn't grow up with my parents, so we just had like a babysitter slash housekeeper person that used to live with us and an aunt. So growing up, my teenage years, I had a lot of freedom, to do whatever. And I always took like the street route, I was like always partying and drinking and going to the beach. And then obviously also I'll see my mom on like the holidays or summer. So it was always in contact. It wasn't like I was abandoned or anything, but she was here in the States working like 2 or 3 jobs to support us over there. So that was like her sacrifice. But living in DR was a good experience for me. Like I'm grateful for that. And
That's good.
then living in New York, working, going to college, and yeah.
Okay.
So
What was so what was life like in the Dominican Republic as a youngster? What was I know you said you had a lot of freedom. Um were you going to church out there or how was it?
no, I think when I was a little girl, like younger than 10, we were Catholic, so I would go to like Catholic school and um oh my God, what's that called? Like catechism kind of thing. So I
Catechism,
did my first communion and everything, but never like going into church,
confirmation, and all that.
the
Yeah.
confirmation and all that. Yeah, but never going into church. During the Easter season, they will always play like the movies of the crucifixion and all that. So we always known God, but it was never like we were going to church.
Yeah, I
But in
remember my grandma was telling me that back in the day when she was a little girl and she did her confirmation, all they would do is they would wait for the bishop of the area, the diocese to come, and all he would do was slap you. And that was a confirmation.
like slap you in your head,
No, just
like
slap you. Give you a slap on the face.
oh wow. Okay. I've never heard of that one.
Well, that was when my grandma was a little girl, so that was a long time ago.
That's a long time ago. Okay. But no, I mean, it was like I said, never going to church or anything, but obviously we always known God. And then once I moved back to New
Oh,
York, my
well, just a
mom,
second. Um, the Dominican Republic is right next to Haiti, right?
yes, it is. Like we
So,
share the same island.
yeah, it's the same island. It's split in half. And with Haiti, there's lots of witchcraft. There's voodoo. There's santeria. Does any of that
Mhm.
bleed over into the Dominican Republic?
It does a lot. And then growing up, we were always told like we're not supposed to, talk to them or like I had Haitian friends because they were going to school. That's their stuff. Like we were there, but they were like, we're not supposed to be their friends. Don't hang out with them. And yeah, God forbid that you mess around with them, they're gonna do like
Kill
a
you and
spell on
yeah.
you or something. So we always known that. And then they would say whoever like from the DR crossed over to Haiti, then they come back with some negative vibes or something, like some spirits. Because that was like obviously what they believe and stuff. But yeah.
Is that like the national religion out there? Oh, voodoo.
In Haiti, I
Yeah.
think so. I mean, it's crazy, but vast majority, yeah, they do practice that. And then some that live in the Dominican side, have still practiced that and they get caught, and then it's like a big thing because obviously we don't want that in our side of the island.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's a
So
big
do
thing.
they lock these people up for doing voodoo
No,
rituals and stuff like
they
that?
no, they were like put them in jail and then send them back to Haiti.
Oh,
So that
okay.
was like a whole big thing. Like clean them up, take them in. Sometimes it's abusive kind of thing, but they were just come over to the Dominican side. So like the army or the police will have to like take them back,
What
take
kind
them
of
back.
stuff would they do?
Well, a lot of violence. Like they were stealing, um, raping, murdering, everything. Because I mean they're like in the poor country, so they come to this side, the Dominican side, and then they do their stuff. But when it comes to like the witchcraft that I remember, um, like animal sacrifice, like the chickens, they would cut the head off and stuff. Like I don't remember a lot, but those were obviously the things that they were like, you have to stay away from that because that's what they do. And I
And
was
they
like,
told you, "Hey, that lady over there in that apartment, you better watch out for her."
yeah, yeah. And I grew up in the city in Santiago, but then we had a house in the country, which is like the country. And then most of like Haitian, they live out in the country. So we would see like their houses or whatever, and then you were like, you cannot, you know, mingle with them or pass by them or nothing. But that was like the older generation telling us, like my grandparents, like, oh, you don't talk to them or nothing like that.
Yeah, they know. Like, especially with my grandma and the stories that would tell us is like they knew who these people were, as opposed to
Mhm.
today where all that stuff is rubbish. It's myth. It's they knew. Like my grandma was, oh yeah, there'd be this witch across the street. They turn themselves into owls and stuff like that, and the lechuzas, and it's like
Mhm.
now that you start learning more about the stuff that that happens in this world, is like, oh my god, she was telling me the truth.
Yes, yes. There was one saying that they would tell us, that like if a kid dies of natural causes, like a toddler or something, that was because the bruja took your spirit. And then you will see like an actual bruja flying. I never saw it, thank God, but there were people that I know that they said, "Oh yeah, I've seen it," and stuff like that, like demon looking or witch looking and like flying in the middle of the night and stuff. And I guess taking the kids' spirits or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's real. Now that I know what I know, I'm like the spiritual world is real. Like just as God is real, Satan is real, the demons are real. Like those are stuff. And then when I started going to church, this was already back here in New York. We will have like Bible studies in my house, and I would see like demons or and like spirits in my
So
house,
you,
and that's
you
like
so you can
scary.
see beyond the veil, basically. You ever
Yeah,
see like have you ever been able to see demons messing with people? Like I've been able to see that. Like I was staring at somebody and there was demons wrapping around him doing things to the person.
really.
Yeah.
No, not like that. I mean, that would be scary, but I mean, because we can't see it, it doesn't mean it's not
It's not there.
happening.
Yeah. It's
It's
there.
not there. And I know for sure, like, especially now that I know, like, with the depression and stuff like that, those are, the demons or just whispering like negative stuff that causes someone to, react this way, or the torment or the loneliness or all that thing is those just whispering in the ears and tormenting them. Like that, I believe 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you see the demons? What did they
So
look
that
like to you?
so that one time, there was just one. So we had like Bible studies in my house, right? And it was right on the other side, like on the back door, on the backyard door, and it was just looking at me. And it was like red faced, really black eyes, and it was just staring. And I told my cousin, I was like, "Oh my God, are you seeing this? Like, are you seeing?" Because I'm staring, like we're both locked eyes. And I told my cousin, I'm like, "Are you looking at this? Do you see it? Do you see it?" And then she's like, "I can't see anything." I can see it. Like it's looking at me. It's right there. And and aside from me being able to see it, it was more like the feeling. Again, I had that fear. And I started crying. I was like, "Oh my God." And then everyone that was there, they started praying, and they went away. And they went away.
Uh,
But
there
it
was
was
one
a
time
scary.
where everywhere I went, I kept seeing the Grim Reaper, like the Santa Muerte. That's one of the things that
Mhm.
where I'm from, or like especially people from Mexico, they venerate that spirit and they worship that spirit a lot. So a lot of people in secret, make deals with this thing. So I'm not sure if it was something that was affecting me, that somebody wanted me to do something and they were sending the spirit after me, but it seemed like everywhere I went I kept seeing that spirit.
Oh
uh,
wow.
yeah, it's
So how
crazy.
did you overcome that? I mean, obviously we know the praying to God.
Yeah,
It's
praying to God. I mean, I just went through it, and there was a lot of bad stuff going on in my life. I even at one point, it's like I was looking in the sky, and like if I could see the Grim Reaper, or La Santa Muerte, whatever you want to call it, that spirit of death in the clouds, and like if it was talking to God, and like kind of like I knew what it was trying to say, like everything, every sin that I've done, it wanted to proclaim it to God, and tell him, let me take his life. You know
right.
how it says, the enemy is the accuser of the brethren.
Yeah.
So they're constantly going to God and bringing up every sin so they could do wrong, to where do they have legal right to mess with your life?
Right. Right. Oh, I believe that.
Yeah.
I
So
do.
you were saying, now you get back to the States and you start going to college.
Yes, I started going to college, and then just working, and again going back to the spiritual side. My mom was really into learning her faith, so she became a Christian, right? And she was always instilling that into us, my sister and I, and we would go to church. So at this point, we were going to church, still in New York and Brooklyn. And every time I was like, "Oh my God," I would feel like the spirit, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to give the Bible a chance, or to give God a chance. I'm gonna read the Bible." And I swear to you, every time something bad will happen, like something. And my mom is like, "Oh, because you're under attack, because obviously the enemy doesn't want you to go to God." But I was like, I'm just gonna stay in the middle, because every time that I'm trying to do like the good side, I get attacked. So I'd rather just stay in the middle. And my mom will say, "No, don't do that, because there's no lukewarm, right? Like you can't stay in the middle. You have to go." And being in the middle is basically not
Yeah.
being with God. So it doesn't count. So but yeah, so I would stay in the middle. So I always knew, but I wasn't following until like 5 years ago, that I'm like, okay, I know God is real, kind of thing. So yeah, so I grew up, going to college, going to work, having um I
What
got
was
married.
college like?
It was normal. I didn't do like off campus or anything, so I was just taking classes, and
No
and that's it.
sororities, no
Not
partying, or
for no
no?
partying.
Oh.
No.
Yeah.
See, and now that I tell my son, that I'm like, when you go to college, I want you to experience that. Not like the whole partying thing, but definitely go on a dorm or something, like go, because I never experienced that. I was just, going to class and coming back.
I
But
kind of
yeah,
did. It was a little crazy, man. Maybe with some restraints, it should be experienced, but not the way I did it. Yeah.
it was crazy.
Yeah, it's a little crazy.
I
Yeah.
mean, it kind of, yeah, because it's just going wild, right?
But
Because
yeah,
that's
but
what
you know
like the
what?
church.
It is something you should do, because, like, as a young person, you should learn, or it should be a stepping stone on learning how to make it on your own. If you don't do that, then life is going to be even harder, because
Yeah,
at some point or another, you got to realize, hey, there's going to be sometimes no one's going to be there to help you. You got to do it on your own.
And that's what I
Yeah.
tell my son. I'm like, I'm not gonna be, all right, legit, I'm not gonna be here forever. So I need you to, learn how to cook, learn how to clean, do your laundry, because especially being a man, right? Like, yeah, you
Yeah.
can have a girlfriend or your wife to do it for you, but being independent, it's a flex for
Yeah.
sure.
That whole doing your laundry thing, I still haven't learned it properly. Or ironing, you know.
See,
Yeah.
no, no, that's not ironing, but definitely at least do the laundry.
Yeah. So
Don't put all
can,
the clothes together.
yeah. So
Yeah.
can you tell me when did things start going down a dark path?
So I believe the dark path for me started, um, I want to say when I was in my previous relationship. I was in a relationship for about 8 years with this man. We were engaged, we were going to get married and all this. And it got to the point where 2 years, almost at the end of our relationship, like things just became south. And and it started affecting like that one thing affected obviously everything else. And it was just so negative and so unhappy. But then I didn't want to like just break up. I couldn't just break up, because I didn't know. I was like, no, we're gonna be together. We're gonna fight it through. We're just having problems, and it was problems that it couldn't get fixed. And then it just time keep passing, and then I'm feeling worse and worse in the sense of not being happy. Or why am I even coming home? Like I will work extra late because I didn't want to come home, kind of thing, and stuff
So
like
is
that.
that
And
like
it's
codependency stuff where like you
yeah,
you don't you know you don't know anything else, so you're scared to leave whatever it is that you're doing. Even as terrible
exactly.
as it is, you're more scared of what you don't know what might be.
Exactly, exactly. Or even so, like the hopes of it's gonna get better. Like again, this is just a rough patch. It's gonna get better. We're strong. We got this. We love each other. But it's like, at what point does it become enough? Like enough is enough. And then
But
once, and
with
that was
God, it'll never happen unless God comes in the mix. There, it's not gonna happen. Well, was the other person a
exactly.
believer at all, or he?
No, and I wasn't either at that time. Again, like I don't, we go to church and stuff like that, but I wasn't full heartedly. Like I didn't read the Bible. I prayed only when I'm like, God, do this for me. But there was no connection, a daily connection like I have now. So I guess, yeah. And now that I am on this side, post Jesus, like I call it, I'm like, I should have known this before. Like my mom would tell me all the time. And she's like, I've been praying for you for 15 years for you to, to come to Christ or whatever. And I just didn't see it. So that's why I always say like I'm grateful for God's grace for me because I didn't follow back then, but He still managed to again forgive me, love me, show me His grace. So now I'm like, oh Jesus, like I said, because now I know.
So, what were the hardest parts of dealing with that relationship? Was it abusive?
It wasn't physically abusive, but it mostly was verbally and emotionally. And I think that is one of the hardest ones because for me, like I consider myself tough. I'm like, if we can fight, whatever, you smack me,
You're from
that
New
was all.
York.
Exactly, we tough. But but when it comes to that verbal and emotional, it sticks to me more. Like if you slap me in the face, oh yeah, I'm just gonna feel pain for a little bit. It'll go away tomorrow. But if you say something that really hurts my feelings, like really hurts me, like I'm gonna stick with that. So and especially coming from someone that is my
You
partner,
love and
that
care about,
I
yeah.
love. So that was more of the thing. Like again, I will come home after working long hours and still come and cook and clean and take care of the kids or whatever, and then I would get, well, what are you doing? You're not doing anything. Like, what do you do? So it was like little things like that, because again, it's not like a real quick thing. It's progressively months and even years. And then I fell into depression, which I didn't even know that I had depression until like later. I just thought like, again, this is just a rough patch, we're just going through stuff. But
Now,
I
was that
started
at
showing.
all because of did he give you or shatter your self image? Was he like trying to tell you, oh, you're not good enough for anybody else, or you'll never find anybody better than me, or well, did he try to make you feel that way at all?
Not like that directly, but in a sense of we met again in the clubs. Back in the day, we would go to parties and stuff, and it would
Looking for
be
love in all the wrong places, huh?
yes, yes. But then it would be like, oh, you can't go out tonight. Like you have your friends, but you can't go out. Like, oh, why are you dressed like that? Or why are you drinking like this? Like now it's a controlling thing, or why are you always having so much fun? But then I'm like, but you met me like this. Like that's one of the things that you like me, that I am fun, that I am, like to party or whatever. Now you try to shut it down, kind of thing. So that was one of my things that I felt like identity loss, because it's like now you're trying to change me of who I was or how you met me. So that was mostly that thing. And I know now that he was going through his own stuff too. Like he was on his own depressions and anxiety, and then he wanted to reflect that on me and like the kids. Like I got to a point where if he was upset, everybody in the house had to be upset, and we everybody has to walk on extra, or he starts screaming or upset, and it's just like that vibe, negative, all the time, day after day. And it got to a point where I start showing signs, like my body, like I developed hyperthyroid issues. I didn't even know what was that, but I had to go to the doctor, and they're like, "Oh my God, your levels are so high. Like your body is expressing like
The
wake up calls.
emotion, the
You're,
emotion is eating at
you're
you.
yes,
Yeah.
like you're under too much stress." But I'm like, "But what is causing me stress?" It was that, you know, every day, every day. So it was just crazy.
So
Yeah,
addiction played a part in this?
it did play a part because during that time, we're still going out. I'm still drinking. And my addiction, which I found out later also, was alcohol. But me growing up, especially growing up in the DR, like this is just what we do. Like I used to say, I was like, well, we just drink because I'm Dominican. Like this is just what we do. But
Yeah.
it came to the point where I'm not drinking for fun anymore. Like I'm drinking because I have to drink. Like I can't sleep because every time I close my eyes, my brain just starts thinking and thinking. So I have to take a few shots before going to bed so I can go to sleep. So now I'm depending on alcohol to be able to function and to go to sleep. And I will only drink at night, but then on the weekends. And then it got to a point where I'm like drinking every day, every day, every day. And I noticed that I was like, oh my God, I'm drinking like every day. But it becomes again, it's not instantaneous, it's little by little becoming that habit. And the more I go out, the more, I have friends over, the more seeing. I understand now that perhaps I was numbing like the pain or not trying to think about it, right? But also trying to find like a little bit of happiness like that. My life is whatever right now. I'm trying to look for some contentment or excitement, and then drinking was my way out. Like it's sad that sometimes people they have to turn into alcohol or drugs or whatever addiction just to feel what they're not feeling on a daily basis.
And especially with alcohol, it's just so normalized. You can drink and
Hmm.
drink, and nobody's really gonna look at you like there's something wrong with you. Unless they see
Exactly.
you on a corner with a brown paper bag. That's about the only time that somebody thinks, "Oh, there's a problem." But no,
Exactly.
there's functioning alcoholics, there's functioning addicts that
Yep.
you might not even know that they have a problem.
Exactly. Exactly. Until they show like those signs.
Did you have any kids at the time?
So I only have one son. So I didn't have any kids with him. So he was from my previous marriage. But no kids. But he had three kids. And again, it was just like we're all a family at that time. But yeah, I just have the one for now. Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that happened to you is your life took a turn for the worse. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
It did. It did. So during that time that again with dealing with the depression and the alcohol and all of that, there was one time that it was the top. How do you say, like the tip of the iceberg or the
Yeah,
last drop, right?
the straw that broke
And
the camel's back.
yes, yes. And it was one day that we were just fighting, and I was just so tired of it. Like I was so tired of being tired of it. And I remember I even said, like, bro, just tell me, what do you need me to do to make you happy? Like we're not happy. We're not. Like I'm not happy. Like I'm very much vocalizing. And then I said, like, well, if I would, to kill myself, nobody wouldn't even matter. And he was like, okay. So I was like, wow, nobody does matter. Like, nobody even cares. So again, just adding into that, me being how I am, I was like, all right, bet. Nobody cares, even if I die or live. So whatever. So I did make the choice that I wanted to die. And I had sent my sister a long message. I waited at 3 o'clock in the morning because I know that she was going to be asleep. I sent her this long message just saying my goodbyes, telling her, to make sure to take care of my son. My mom will take care of my son, so I know that he will be good. Again, I'm the problem. I started sending her like my money that I could, like on Zelle, trying to like legit say my goodbyes. And then I tried to overdose on pills and alcohol, and I was just out of it. Like my plan was to go to sleep and not wake up, and not wake up. So I did, because I did die. But again, this is how God works. And that was like the breaking point of me even
So
understanding everything.
this took 3 days to plot out. You plotted it out for 3 days.
No, I planned it out that same day. I
Oh,
was
that
like,
same day.
this is gonna be the day, but this was early. So like I said, I waited until 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay.
So all of this, I sent my sister the message, all of this, and during that time,
You
I'm
sent her
again
all your
waking up.
money. Wow.
Yeah, well, as much as I could, obviously, on stuff, because there's like a limit and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was all. And then the thing is, now looking back, during that amount of hours, that's the only thing going on my head. That's the only thing. So there was no
And that's
hope
a
of,
demon.
oh,
There's
maybe
a
I'm.
demon in that. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I believe
Do
that
you have
now
any
because
history of that in your family?
no,
No?
no, and that's what it.
What
That's the
about him?
crazy part.
What about him? Did he?
I don't think so. No,
No.
no. So this is why it's so bizarre to me and so highlighting, because this is not something that it was common for me. Like I didn't know any people that had depression or that tried to commit suicide or nothing like that. So it's like for me, this is it.
Yeah, and
So
you
I'm
don't know you don't know anything else that might have opened up a door to that spirit? Anything else that might have happened?
no, I don't
No.
think so. I think it was more just the
Just
the
trying to get back
determination.
at him and be like, okay, I'll show you.
Yeah, or just trying to, again, just to end it all. Because I was like, at the end of the day, I just wanted the pain to end. Like maybe I didn't want to die, okay? I didn't want to die, but I wanted the pain that I was feeling to end. And like I said, I didn't see myself or any other way out. Like that's what I had in my mind. And I kept thinking about it, kept thinking about it. Like, this is gonna work. My son is gonna be good. My mom is gonna be good. My sister's gonna be good. Because I'm the problem. Because I don't matter at this point. What do I have to live for? Like everything that I had was surrounded about, with this person or, me living. So then how can I live past this? I didn't have a way out. So that was my determination. But like I said, going back to thinking, how God works is that same day, like I said, I waited for 3 o'clock in the morning. My sister, she was awake at that time. And now after obviously we tell the story, but she had a brand new baby, a 3-month-old baby. Sleep through the night. This is why I waited for 3 o'clock, because I know that she was gonna be sleeping and she'll just see the message in the morning. But she told me that the baby that night was so colicky, was awake. They couldn't want sleep. And so she was awake when I sent the message. And she's like, this never happens. Like, I don't understand why the baby was like that. But she's like, I know maybe perhaps that was God having the baby being awake so I can be awake at the time that you send the message. So she's still living in New York.
Or did she get
I'm
a
still,
bing? Why is there 400 extra dollars in my account?
yes. And then this long paragraph, or, whatever. So she's like, what is happening? Whatever. And then she's trying to call me. I didn't even know where my phone was or nothing. But she still lives in New York and I'm here in Pennsylvania. So she called the cops from Pennsylvania to come and do a wellness check on me. So they came in, and at that time they came, the ambulance came through and all that. And when they found me, I was clinically dead. So the EMT, they had to revive me. So when I wake up, all these lights and all these people inside the house, pain on my chest, because I guess they were doing the
Defibrillator?
CPR and the
Oh, this,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, what is happening? Like I woke up. I'm like, I shouldn't be here. Like I had a plan, and that wasn't the plan. But during that time where I felt like my spirit or my soul, whatever, was out of my body, I didn't see no lights. I didn't see no angels. It was just empty darkness, like just empty vast, just of nothing. But I did hear like in my spirit, like it's not your time. And that's how I know that it was God because I felt it, like that peace, right? And then like that pull. And then when I woke up again with EMTs on my chest, bringing me back.
If you really would have died, do you know where you would have gone?
Yes. And I'm sure 100% that's why I believe God brought me back because living how I was living, I know for a fact that I was going to go to hell. There's no doubt about that. I was going to hell. So now, I'm giving this second chance. I'm like, why? And when I even got to the hospital, the doctors told me, they're like, if they would have waited even 10 minutes after, probably I wouldn't make it. So it was good that they made it at the time that they made it. My sister, was awake at that time. Like everything just works. So I mean, that's how God works, right? Like that's how we know
You
everything
could be
just
brain
works.
dead. Even if you
Yeah.
did make it, you could be brain dead. You could be a vegetable.
Yep. 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 But again, that wasn't, I believe, the way. That's not how God intended for my life. Like I see that now, you know. And yeah, it's sad that happened and everything, but now looking back, I know that everything had to happen that way so I can get and believe the way that I do now. Because even when I woke up, I was still mad. And I was still like drunk and high on everything. I was like, what am I doing here? Like what's happening? And I was upset because that wasn't my plan, you know? But then after, I feel like that love and that forgiveness and that grace. And I was like, you could have saved anybody that could actually deserve it. Why are you saving me if I don't deserve it? That was like I always done thing, and then I start crying because I'm like, that's how much you loved me, that you were willing to save me even if I didn't deserve it. You know. So I was
And
the
even on top of that, if it was only you, he still would have done it. He still would have died
yeah,
just for you.
yep,
That's a beautiful
exactly.
thing.
You know the the story of the 99 that he leaves the 99 to go get that one. I was like, I was that
I'm the
one.
one. Yeah.
I was that one. Like he left and came and picked me. No, my daughter, you coming back. So, so yeah, it's a beautiful thing. What God, how God is, how God works. But yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask so what led to the turning point in your life that led you to discover that you have a purpose?
So that was a little bit after, because again, even during that time that I'm like, okay, I'm here. Why am I here? I still was in the midst of not knowing why am I here. So yeah, it went a few months where I just didn't know what was my purpose. Why am I God? Why did you bring me back? Why? And I was still drinking during that time. Like I just didn't know. But
Well,
then
my bad. Let me back up a little bit. Were you what did it look like when you came back? Were you in the hospital for a while, for like a week or
no,
something, or no? They let you right
no,
out?
I was still when I woke up, I was still in the house, and then they took me to the hospital.
Mhm.
So yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
when I got to the hospital, yeah, I had an interview with like three doctors, two psychologists or two therapists or whatever, and they did like an evaluation on me and everything, and they wanted to take me to like the psych ward because obviously not a normal person tries to kill themselves every day, right? But I don't really remember everything how it played out. The point, and this was during COVID, so it was everything was on lockdown still and stuff like that.
Wow.
But I managed to let them know, listen, I was just feeling depressed. I was just drunk. Like I really didn't want to kill myself. Like this was, but they wanted to keep me for a while. But I guess because of like the shutdown and stuff, they just sent me home the next day, and I had to like meet with the doctor like every week for a couple of months. That was it.
Man. You're lucky they didn't let you just pass and say you died of COVID. Because I
You
I
imagine?
no I was talking to a guy who his his wife was a biller at a big hospital where I'm from, and he said that they were paying the hospital $3,000. The government was paying $3,000 for to give to the hospital for every person that died of COVID. So he said even one guy, he came, he had been shot in the head. They tested him to see if he had COVID. He had COVID, and they put down that he died of COVID just to get those
Wow.
$3,000. So they test her, see if she's got COVID. Oh yeah, yeah, let her die. That's
Yeah.
three G's for us. That's three racks.
See, I didn't know that, and that makes total sense. That why those numbers went up so fast. Then, if everybody's dying out of COVID, yeah, I did not know that part, but it's crazy.
Yeah, you're lucky. So you
I'm like, no, I'm
so
grateful.
yeah, I can't believe they just let you out without putting you at least in a psychiatric hold. That's
Hmm.
law. They're supposed to put you in for 3 days.
Hmm. No, that I'm telling you, I had the interview with them, with the doctors and stuff, and I just had to meet them virtually for a couple of weeks, like once a week for a couple of weeks. I think it was like 6 weeks, but
Were you
that was
planning
it.
on doing it again?
No,
No.
no, because at this point I'm like,
Yeah.
no, at this point I'm like, okay, what is happening? Because again, I understand things like that, and then again, having my mom and having like a support system also, that as soon as that happened, my mom was like, this was God. So I kind of leaned towards, well, let me see why. Like I'm telling you, I went hard on, I'm gonna read the Bible, I'm gonna go to like a church group, I'm gonna go to church, I'm gonna like everything, because now my mission is to find out
You know why?
why.
Yeah.
Why did you bring me back? You know? And and like I said, it took a while because it's not right away. But little by little, God has, spoken to me. And even the church group that I went in, that was my mom's group. And I was like, let me go in for research purposes, because my mom is always talking about this group, how all the ladies in her group are so good, and they always talk about Jesus and they read the Bible. And that's just something that I always wanted to do. So I went in to this group virtually. Again, this is still during COVID, and just to learn. But I don't know anything. I was shy to pray, like nothing. Now I'm still part of this group, and I'm like, oh my God, I love my group. But the way that I went in, I know that it's like, this is how God wanted me to go in, because I would never go into that group. But I was like, let me find out. And I did find what I was looking for. You know what I mean? That it
And
was
how did
to
your
learn about
significant other at the time take it? The one that said go ahead and do it. He didn't
it. It
care.
was, I didn't care. And at that point, it was like, okay, yeah, bro, we're like done, done.
Yeah.
And even after that, he took all my stuff from the house and he like put it in the porch. So I was like, officially, I didn't have a place to live. I had to go live with my sister for like about 6 months. My son and I, with her husband, the brand new baby, and my nephew. So my son and I were literally sleeping on bunk beds. My nephew on the top, and my son and I on the bottom, and we're living on off of duffel bag, because all my stuff was in storage. So for 6 months, I was nothing in our house. Then I would have to sleep at my other sister's house for like a week. I would go sleep at my best friend's house for a week. So I was literally homeless. I didn't have anything. So
It's a good thing that you were more focused on trying to find why God saved you than blaming God, because a lot of people in those situations would blame God and go down a totally different direction.
that is true. That is true. But that's why I said too, is having that support system, because if I didn't know, that's what I was gonna be turning, because I'm still, at that time I was still having, anger, and I'm still depressed. It wasn't like I was, surviving, I'm good. No, there was still work in progress to do. And this is something that I teach now, as women that are going through depression and stuff like that. Like, this is the hope that you can get through this, and with God, inviting God in, it'll be easier, instead of blaming it, because God says that he does all things working for the good, right? Even the bad things, at the end of the day, he's going to have something good to come out of it. So just looking at through that perspective is like why I say God has saved me for a reason. And so, like, because I could be mad at him, but at the end of the day, it's not going to take away what he has done, you know? So,
So back to the question, how did you discover your purpose?
oh, yes. Thank you. So, for that, After everything that went through, and I'm still already going into church and into Bible and actually learning all the stuff. So all of that had happened. I still was having it in me that I didn't want to share. So like this, maybe even being here on this podcast, sharing my story, this is like me being obedient and walking because didn't want to, help nobody. I didn't want to talk about God. I didn't want to talk about my story. I didn't want to do nothing because at the end, this is like my story. This is my private and stuff. But then it was revealed to me like there's people that are legit going through what I went through. So by me helping even those in my community, like I'm part of my church, I'm part of the sobriety team. I go to AA now, and just sharing those things, they're like, "Oh my God, Angie, like we can see God work through you, and like you give us hope." And I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." But I feel like
I go to
again, God
AA too. I go to
really
AA too. Yeah, and one of the that's one of the things that it says. No matter how far down you've gone, you'll always find out that your experiences can bring hope to somebody else.
exactly because we share our experience, strength, and hope.
Yeah,
Because I honestly believe if I would have had someone back then that would at least, going through the same thing, or would have been like, girl, don't worry about it, you got this, or try to say, love yourself more, you don't need this, you can leave without that. Like those things would have been a game changer for me. So that's what I try to show to those that are still going through those things. And I feel like that is part of my purpose. Like again, we have different assignments to work during life and during different seasons, but overall the purpose is that it's always using what God has worked through you to help those that are still going through that. It doesn't have to be something crazy, like again, you don't have to die and come back to life to have this realization, but everything that you're going through, someone else is going through that. How did you
and
come out of that?
and
How can you be a share of the light?
and the thing is, especially something that I've learned is you never know who it is either, because
Exactly.
especially in AA, you got people from all kinds of walks of life. You got the
Yes.
the guy who was outside, right? With the
With the brown
brown paper
bag.
bag. Yeah, in the corner, he's got the shakes. And you also got the housewife that drinks wine and stuff like that, and gets wasted every day out of her mind. And you got the businessman that's got it all, got everything going on, but in reality, he's really suffering because he's
Yeah.
hooked on the drink, and that's
Yeah.
what's really messing him up, you know. And you
Exactly.
telling your story, I've heard stories from people that I would never imagine. Like, oh my God, you did that? That's something I would do.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's again being now that being part of that, that's I feel like that's what it's all about. Helping each other, right? And also using again what God gave you, your gifts, your talents to help someone else. Like even going to AA, that was a prayer, that was like an answered prayer for me. Because like again, I still was saved. I was already baptized, but I was still drinking. I didn't know at this point how to stop, but I knew that I was going too extra. But I didn't know I was an alcoholic. And this was me like washing dishes one day in the kitchen. I was like, God, I think I'm drinking too much. Like, can you teach me? Can you take this away? Like, can you teach me how to drink? I didn't want to stop drinking because I'm like, I'm still young. And again, I'm Dominican. This is what we do.
How old were you?
But this was 2023, September of 2023,
Oh, sorry,
that
how old
I
were
had
you?
this
I'm sorry, I shouldn't
30.
be asking, but
No,
I'm just
this
I just
was
want to
what
get a reference. Yeah. Okay.
36 maybe.
Okay.
I'm 38 now. Although I identify myself as a 28-year-old,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
But this was like about 2 years ago in September of 23 that I had this prayer. And then my fiance at the time, like well, now he's my fiance, he's also drinking too. And his dad was like, "You guys are drinking too much. You guys should go to a 12-step program." I didn't even know what was out there. I don't know what the 12-step program, but I told him, let's just go to a 12-step program to see what it's all about and then just to shut him up kind of thing. Let's just go. But there again, that's how God works, right? Because when we went, we did, we're gonna do a dry 2024, no drinking for the whole year, and that's going to be, but by this time we're still going to AA. And then we get there. My first question was like, how long do we need to be in this program in order not to be considered an alcoholic, kind of thing. And
Forever.
yes, they
Forever.
they laughed at me.
Yeah.
And I was like, this was a serious question, like how long, right? And he's like, no, this is the forever program. And I was like, oh, okay, I didn't get it. But then we keep on going. And then they talking about this book, this big book. I told my fiance, I was like, we need to get this book so that way we can follow along because I don't even know what book they're talking about. And we went, and everyone that was there, they're so welcoming. And again, everybody's going through their own struggles and stuff.
Yeah.
And I even told him, I was like, I don't think we fit
There's
in
some people
here.
their whole life is falling apart and they still stand there
Yeah,
in the front and shake everybody's hand. Hey, I'm glad you're here. I'm happy you're here. And
yeah,
you never know what the other person on the other side is going through. And they're just happy. Oh my God, this person's happy I'm here.
exactly, exactly. That's like the whole fellowship and the whole community thing
And
that
you
I.
know the thing too that I totally love is that once you're a little bit into it, you find out this is a spiritual program.
It
They're saying I
is.
gotta have a God.
Yes, yes.
And a lot of people are like, what the heck? They kind of snuck that in there, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things also that I like too, because I was like, oh my God, you see, I say that I want God in my life, and I'm literally getting him from everywhere because I didn't know he was going to be an AA. But yeah, it's also is a part. They say, yeah, obviously, the higher power, you have your higher power, whatever you believe. But I feel like at the end of the day, you have to have that belief in something greater than yourself. I mean, for us, obviously, it's Jesus. But for someone
Well,
that
Bill was a
doesn't know,
Christian. The guy who came up with a he was a Christian, but he
it
knew he
was
couldn't tell everybody, hey, be a Christian and you know it'll help you
exactly,
with your alcoholism. Nobody would do it. Nobody would try. You know, so
exactly.
and especially in this day and age, and even in his day, where people were kind of totally wrecked on religion. You know,
Mm,
religion, something might have happened to them, or you know, they just couldn't conform. It's best for some people to just start with a God of their own understanding. You know, I'm gonna take
exactly.
it slow. I'm gonna work my way there. Maybe I don't
Exactly.
believe in God yet, but I'm gonna give it a chance if there's something out there bigger than me that might be able to help me with this problem.
Exactly. And that's exactly how it is because again going back is like you have to surrender, right? And you have to have that hope or that faith in something else that it's not us in order to help us. Because obviously we could do it on our own. We could have done it a long time ago.
Yup.
But we need that help. God's help to come in our life and do it. But yeah, that's been an awesome program for me. I mean, like I said, I discovered that I was because when I went there, I didn't even want to say, "Hi, I'm Angie, I'm an alcoholic," because I feel like I was lying to myself. I'm like, but I'm not.
Not at
I just like
alcohol.
to
Yeah.
drink.
Yeah.
I'm not an alcoholic. I just like to drink a lot. But then hearing other people's stories and how they're drinking and what they've done and I was like, oh, but if they're doing all of this and I did that, so then
Yeah.
technically I'm too.
Yeah.
But at first, I didn't feel like super comfortable in it because there were people there that they were there because they had DUIs or they've been on rehab or they've been arrested and stuff like that. And I was like, I've never had none of that stuff. So I was like, I don't feel like I am. But hearing again everybody's story, that's where the connection is. So if you are and if you can get through this, and so can I. And I love the old timers that they have like 5 years, 10 years. And I'm like, and you still come. You are
Yeah.
still part of these meetings. So that is something that I'm like, now I look forward to. So right now I'm at
That
626
but
days.
that's because they know, man.
Yeah,
There's a guy who's told me that he's seen a person get a 20-year chip and then 2 days later come and get a white chip. And for you people that don't know, that they got a 20-year chip, which means they were sober for 20 years. And 2 days later they came a white chip, which means they went out and got drunk and they started all over again.
all over again. Yeah.
And the thing with me is, I heard a lot of stories, and I know it happens because I've talked to people where something just happens, and and this is talked about in the big book that they have a spiritual experience, which
Yeah.
means God changed them somehow, and from
Yeah.
that time on, they no longer want to drink.
Yeah.
Their life goes in a totally different direction, and to me, I've been in addiction, in and out of addiction for years. You know, I spent most of my 20s in and out of rehab. It got
Hmm.
to the point where I got tired, man. I got tired, so I quit quitting. I'm like, you know what? I'm just not gonna quit anymore. It's not quitting is not for me.
Exactly.
And I went for
Yep.
so long, and I put up with so much drama and bad living, and finally I had enough. You know what they say? It's a gift of desperation. Where
Yes.
you know what that's I'm done with this. And the thing I've learned most about AA is that you got to work for it. Not everybody
Mhm.
gets that uh, spiritual experience, and you're fixed from
Yep.
one moment to the other.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to earn that spiritual experience, and you got to work for it. So
Mhm.
I'm sure that's probably something you had to learn yourself.
Of course. I mean, that's with everything, right? Even going tying it back to reading the Bible and like I'm praying. Yeah, I can pray for God to come through, but then if I don't do my part when God, then it's not gonna work. So yeah, we can be there in the end and just listen to the stories and read the book, but if I'm not doing my work, the step works or whatever that is told for me, then it's not gonna work. We have to do the work. And I discovered that when that I was like a real alcoholic is because that did happen to me. That I was already 30 days in. I received my 30-day chip. And I was pissed off one day and I was cleaning and I found half a bottle of Jack. And I was like, oh, okay.
Wow. How did that get
Yeah.
there?
I got it again, and that's the enemy because what a coincidence that I find this on the day that I was stressed out at work. I had a fight with my son, like I was just out of it, and I was like, you
Mhm.
know what? I'm just gonna take a shot. It's not gonna count. This is my thinking. It's not gonna count. It's just one shot. But then that whole shot, I was like, oh, I felt it burning, and then I took another one, and next thing you know, I drank like the half a bottle, and then after that, and then I'm like, my fiance, he's like, did you drink? Because he smelled it on my breath, and I was like, yeah. And again, he didn't make me feel any type of way because he's also part of the program too. He's like, oh, it just happens. You start tomorrow, kind of thing. We'll just go back tomorrow. But then now I felt bad because I'm like, I already was 30 days in and I gave up. So I'm like, technically, I'm letting the alcohol control me. I said I was not going to, and I did. And then I kept obsessing every time I'm pissed
That
off or I
obsession of
get
the
stressed
mind.
out. Yes, I kept thinking. Now I understand though, because it's our body. Like if I was drinking for 24 years and I've only been sober for 30 days, right? The body automatically is going to go back to it. Like every time I get stressed out at work, I will come home and have a shot. This is how I feel better. So now that I'm having this stressful experience, my mind is telling me, well, let's make us feel better again. What do we do when we're stressed out? We go take a shot. So now I
It's your
had to take a
default
shot.
way of operating. Like,
Exactly.
especially for me too. I spent over half my life high and drunk. So for
Mhm.
most of that's all I knew how to do. So things are
Yep.
stressful, go get high and drunk. Things are
Exactly.
good, go get high and drunk. It's a party, go get
Exactly.
high and drunk. That was the solution
Because
for
it's
everything.
Friday. Because it's Friday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah.
That's what it is, and then it goes back. But then again, once you have that awareness, right, and then you're like, I know that I'm having these thoughts, and I know that if I do, I'm going to fall back, and that's when the will has to be stronger than those thoughts. And I talk about that a lot, always, all the time too, because it's like if we're in a right path, or trying to follow God, or trying to be clean, or whatever the case is, or get out of depression. Those thoughts are not going to stop, but we have to become aware of them and overcome them and be stronger and pray, like, God, take this away from me. And it'll come through and it'll become easier after a while. It's only hard at the beginning. Like it becomes easier than later on, you know?
The funny thing for me is like the same thing. I would say I'm not an alcoholic because I drank, but not all crazy all the time. If I wasn't doing drugs, yeah, I'd go crazy on the liquor and stuff like that. But one of the
Hmm.
main reasons I chose AA over NA and the other fellowships is I know that's how it all starts. There's so many times where I was sober and I can drinking's okay, it's normal, and
Hmm.
it just leads you back in that same direction. And like you said, you're Dominican, it's all part of the culture. Same thing with me. Hey, I'd be fresh out of rehab and like, oh, cool. You want a beer?
That's it. We got to celebrate that we're out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
And the thing is, they don't know. Uh, we got to realize that we have family members, and they're not alcoholics. They
Yeah.
drink here and there, and they have no idea about this obsession of the mind, this allergic
Yeah.
reaction we have. So to them, they don't understand. They're like, okay, well, have a beer with me, and here we
And
go. Okay,
I overcome that word is like I can't because I like it too much. But then if I know that I go back, it's gonna start all over again. So I told my friends, I was like, do you like you can drink. I'm the one that is not drinking. This is my journey, but you can still do you. But then my thinking is if more of my friends and I we were still drinking the same way and I'm an alcoholic, I'm like, you guys are alcoholics too. You guys just don't know it yet. You know? But that's just how it is. And it goes back to again tying it back to God. We just have to surrender and give it to him. That's the only way. That's the only way.
okay. So I'm supposing after that, now you're a regular churchgoer. Or when did you start becoming a regular churchgoer? Was it just this group meeting that you would do online, or how did that evolve? How did your
Yeah, so
relationship strengthen?
yeah, so that one for the group, it was still going on online for years. I mean, again, I love my group. I'm
So
still part of the group. But then it got to a point that I said, I was like, I need to be in a real church. So last year, the beginning of last year, I started praying. I was like, God, I want to, really get into a good church, like really get into the Bible and learn the Bible and stuff like that. So we were trying out a few different churches. Like one of my coworkers took me to his church. It was too far, even though the message was good. Then we tried another church around our house. It was closer, but there was no message. And I'm still like, I'm praying, like, God, I'm telling you that I want to know about you. Like, I want a church. Like, find me a church where
I'm
you want
hungry. I
us
want
to
to be
go.
fed.
Exactly. Like, where do you want me to be at? And then I did find the church that I'm actually part of now. And the message was good. They go through the scriptures, like each verse kind of thing. It's not like the pastor takes one verse and then just do a whole sermon about it. It's more like scripture wise. Everyone is welcoming. It's all about Jesus. So I'm like, thank you, Jesus, because this is exactly what I wanted, and it's not that far. Like it's perfect. Like I love my church. So we've been going, and we're actively going and now part of the church and everything, volunteering and everything, for like a year and a half now, almost 2 years. Yeah.
Okay, so can you explain how your align method helps others heal and grow?
Yes. So the align is something that I just put together because it's the 5 points, the framework that worked for me, step by step, knowing how to grow spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, and even financially. Like this is all in one kind of thing. So the A in align stands for awareness. Going back to what I said, like, yeah, we have to have that awareness of what is going on in our life. Like we need to know that there's a problem in order to
I'm
fix the
dealing with
problem.
depression. I have an addiction. I have
Exactly.
social anxiety.
Exactly. Like when you are aware of that problem, then you can take the next step of wanting to fix it. What can I do? So, for example, like someone is depressed and they're like, oh, this is just how I am. I'm just a negative person. I'm just depressed. But no, something inside of you, because I know it was inside of me, where you can tell yourself, I'm not happy. Like, there's something that I can do to change it because I don't feel good. So that right there, it's like, okay, that's the awareness of you knowing that something needs to change, whether it's the environment, whether it's the circumstances, whether it's the job, the relationship, whatever it is, there's steps that you can take in order to fix it, right? So that's the A in awareness. So the L stands for loving yourself. Again, you have to love yourself, love your body. Now that you know that there's a problem, take actions for that is going to be beneficial for you. Say no to the things that don't serve you. Like it's okay for you to
You
say
know,
no.
I hate to interrupt, but one of the things that I've heard at least twice in the past month is the analogy of when when you're in an airplane, the stewardess and stuff like that. They tell you that if in case of an
Yep,
emergency, there's going to be some ventilators that pop down. Put yours on first because if you don't help yourself, you can't help anybody else.
exactly. Exactly. And that's exactly how it is. And then
So
you
you got to love
cannot give,
yourself.
you got to love yourself. And then you cannot give to others, right, in a good way if you don't have it yourself. So you have to work on yourself first in order to pour out to others. And that's biblical. That's what God tells us to do, right? And then you have people that depend on you. So you have to be in a good state of mind, physically, mentally, emotionally, for you to deal with life, right? Because life always be lifing, but you have to be in a good state. And that comes with loving yourself, right? Number three, which is the I in a line, is invite God in. Again, the common denominator that we have is let God in, invite God into your life. Without God, you cannot do anything. Point blank, right? However that looks for you, just by reading the scriptures, just like going to a church, getting in a group, looking at reels, Bible reels, like just whatever thing that you can do to God to speak to you. Prayer and gratitude works phenomenal. That's my number one thing because He's always waiting for us to invite us, right? What does it say? The saying that He's a gentleman, He's not going to just barge into, He wants that invitation. So when you're in desperation, full of depression, crying out at your lowest point, that is the perfect moment to say, God, come into my life. I surrender everything. Just do what you need to do. And you see like that, he'll come in. But you have to invite God in to work in your life.
And not to go back too much, but that's that gift of desperation on the spiritual end, where you're so
Yeah,
desperate. It's a gift. It really is. It's a good thing
yeah,
you got there because now it gives you that chance to search for God.
yeah, yeah. And the thing is that we're so hard headed sometimes that we want to do things ourselves, right? I'll try to fix this on my own. I'll try to do this, and then at the end, when things doesn't work out, then at that point you're so desperate that you're gonna cry out to God. But if you do it from the beginning, everything will just flow better, right? The N in a line stands for. I'm sorry, the G.
Richie.
The G. Yes, it is. So the G stands for growth and gratitude. So again, back to the gratitude. I believe 100% in gratitude because that gives you in that state of mind. First, it takes you off a lack, but it also shows what you have. Like in my sense, I was gonna go to sleep and I didn't want to wake up, right? I wasn't gonna wake up. Every day now, I first thing when I wake up, I say, God, thank you for another day. Because there are legit people that don't wake up. But because you're blessing me with another day, thank you. And you can say thank you for everything. Just having that gratitude heart, it it makes you feel better. Like you can try, like, thank you for everything. I went one time on a rant, like, oh, thank you because I have a house. Thank you because I have a car. Thank you because I'm healthy. Thank you because of it. Thank you because I have toilet paper. Back in the day during COVID, there was no toilet paper. So I'm, I'm grateful that I had toilet paper, little things like that. But that gets you into that state of mind of just feeling better. You can't feel negative if you have a grateful heart, you know,
Yeah,
and
people
also
are
look up.
get so used to what they do have that they're not grateful for it. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, me myself, I've slept out in the desert. I've had no place to go. Been sleeping in bushes and trees and stuff like that. And, it can, even for a person that's been through that, it can get to the point where you're so used to having a place to go and everything be good that you're not grateful for it. You don't thank God for it.
But it's also looking at like other people's circumstances because that shows, the gratitude that we have because some other people they don't have those things. But we're grateful that we do have those things. Like you have a house now, you're not going through that. There's still people out there still going through those things. But I'm like, thank God that I'm not going through it. Like you're providing everything. So that and then that just give the growth in faith, the growth in yourself. So gratitude. Say thank you for everything. Everything. Right? And then the last one, the N in align is nurture positivity. Again, our default always is the negative thoughts, the negative emotions. Something happens, we're thinking the worst case scenario, right? But the flip side of that is, well, what's the outcome? What is the truth? What is God says, right? What is the positive side? Because for every negative, there's a positive. So for every bad circumstances, and we know and we trust and we have faith that God is gonna bring it to good. So what can be the good coming out of this outcome? Like
Negativity.
what is
Yeah.
the negativity? So yeah. So it's always looking at both sides. We cannot avoid thinking negative but then make it like a habit to be like, so what's the flip side of that? What can be good out of this? So I'm saying, for example, one of the things that one of my friends that I was teaching her how to do this thing because she was looking for a job and she's like, "Oh, I don't think I'm gonna get this job. I don't think this is this. I don't think." But then I'm like, all of you're saying right now is negative. Let's
Yeah.
think about it like this. How about if you do get that job, right? How about if you do? Like, let's think of the positive thing out of that. So now everybody's like, "Oh my God, you're so positive and you're so this." Yeah, but because I wasn't before, you know, like I was the 100% negative. So now that I'm like on the other side, I see the difference,
And a
and
lot
this
of
one
that,
feels so much better.
believe it or not, a lot of that is God in your heart because you could be going through some really bad stuff and still be
Yeah,
happy. And because you have
yeah,
God in your heart, and it'll show you like when people are too worldly, they don't like that. They will be
yeah,
mad at you, like, why are you so happy all the time?
yeah,
Jeez, like they
yeah.
don't like
Why
it.
are you so peaceful? With that
Yeah.
peace that beyond understanding, and that is what it is. So that's why it goes like that. Invite that in first, and
And you're
then
gonna tell them
everything else.
you don't even know half the stuff I'm going through right now. To tell you the truth, if it
Exactly,
wasn't for God, you wouldn't see a smile on my face.
exactly, exactly. So it's just looking at the other side. It has to go in that order. That's what I'm saying for it to work. Because you can't do one without the other. You can't fix a problem if you don't know what's the problem. You can't
And
love yourself if you don't even know.
what made you want to do this program?
Again, I think that was just God led and something that I was battling for a while, and I kept on praying. But at this point, I feel like God was screaming at me, like, "This is what I want you to do." But I have to be obedient because again, if I can change at least one person that, and I have had people that come to me and say, "Angie, oh my God, like what you said or how you shared it or whatever really helped me on this thing." It's not like transformation. I just plant the seed. I just plant the seed that God tells me, and I let somebody else water, and I let God do the thing. You know what I mean? But it's like, what are we doing to help each other out and come out of that hole?
That's one of the biggest things that if you're having problems and you want to get out of your own head, help somebody else out with their problem.
Yeah,
Find someone else that's in need and help them, and your problems will be less.
yeah, yeah. And again, pray on it. God, who am I going to be a blessing to today? I say that all the time. Like, God, who am I going to be a blessing to? Because I feel like we're so blessed that who can I be a blessing to? Even somebody around in the street that I see them like upset, I'm like, oh, God bless you. Here you go. I'll buy you a cup of coffee, whatever the case is. But like just making that difference in somebody else's life. That's what it takes to feel better.
So, what does still here for a reason mean to you today?
Still here for a reason is before I say that, let me tell you this recent study that I found in Google. 'Cause, I started doing research and everything, but there is a study that shows that 50,000 people die from suicide every day, right? 50,000 people a year. I'm sorry, not every day, a year. But then out of those
Wow.
50,000,
Before you go any further, God is good because I was gonna look that up and I forgot to. God is good. I'm glad you did.
see? Yes, I just go like, what is the statistics? But yeah, so 50,000 people die from suicide a year. But out of those 50,000 people, 1.6 million actually attempt and don't die. So you see the high numbers? Like, yeah, it's obviously 50,000 people or 500,000 is a lot, but how about the other million people
The
that are
tribe.
still suffering, that are still trying, that are tired of whatever's going through? And most of the things is always like mental hopelessness, loneliness, like all of those things, right? That is like the only way out is like, I want to die. But God is like, no, it's not your time. You still have work to do. You still have purpose in you. Like there's still something or someone that you have to be part of here. So to me, being here for a reason is that I didn't die then in 2020 because there's something that God wants in my life to do in my life that I have to do. You know what I mean? And I feel like all the other ones are perhaps is like that, just coming closer to God, finding Him, or being a help for the people in need that are desperately needing what I can give. The same thing with all the other people. So that's like, I always say, like, if you are here, there's purpose in your life. You have something that God has given you, your gifts, your talents. So use that because you are here for a reason. And sometimes we don't even know what it is, right? But we ask for it, we ask for it, we're in obedience, and then we walking, and then you know that it's like, oh, I'm walking in purpose, and then you feel content, like you feel happy because you're doing what you're supposed to do, and that is a beautiful thing once we discover that. So my thing is, right now, again, my church, my community, AA, like anybody that message me, that contacts me, they want prayer for something, or like, girl, how did you do this? How you do that? Well, let me tell you. And like stuff like that, again, it's just helping and being of service. So I feel like that's the reason that we're here, that we're still here. If not, God would have been done with you. He would have taken you to heaven, and it's like, that's it. But you're here for a reason and for a purpose. That's what I believe.
So you feel God has restored your life, and you probably actually have more than you had before, right?
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. And there's people that tell me, oh my God, you're so churchy now. You're like in a cult. But I was like, let me tell you, God, if God brainwashed me, then I am, that is a blessing because again, He took me out alcohol. He restored my faith. He restored my heart. I'm not depressed. Now I have a fantastic fiance now. You know, my son, and he got baptized. My son got baptized. I have a house. Like, there's so many blessings that I can countlessly like name that I didn't have before. So yeah. And again, this is just because I feel that I'm being obedient. And God, and life is still lifing. Like I said, like things still go happens, but now I know where to turn. Let me go back into my Bible. Let me have my prayer group, pray for me. Like this is happening. I know who to call versus back then that I didn't. And this is one of the things that I tell everyone. Like you have to get your circle of people that wants the best for you. Again, if you're going through the depression, if you're going through anxiety, find a group, find help. Don't stay quiet because that was another thing for me. Like I used to stay quiet. I didn't say that. And maybe because again, we're Spanish and nobody talks about their feelings or whatever. But that is also the play of the enemy to have us isolated, not talking. Like this is on there's people that are going the same thing. It's not just you that are going through it. We're all going through this together and we all want to grow out of it together. So that's how we have to be together.
And you know what? One of the things that um, I'm not sure if it was a study, but it's something that's been said is like, if you want to be a millionaire, go hang out with a bunch of millionaires and find out how they did it. You know, if you see a lot of strong Christians that are strong in their faith, go hang out with some. You know, if
Yeah.
that's what you want to be, find them, and whatever you feel
Yeah.
your desire is to be, go find people like that and hang out with them. Find out what they did. So yeah,
Exactly.
I commend you on that.
Yeah.
My last question for you is how can someone struggling with depression or hopelessness take the first steps towards healing?
I would say pray.
Right.
That's my that's my spiritual side. Everything I fix it with prayer, just pray. But in reality, like again, if you know, in all seriousness, if you they know that they're going through it, like taking medication because it is mental health, it is a real thing, right? Then seek help, right? If not, then go beyond yourself, and then again, pray for deliverance, for to take it out. And like the steps that I said, just find those people, find that community, find that help that are willing to help you come out of that.
And a lot of mental illness is dealing with demons and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It is a spiritual battle that they want to just throw medicine at you and say, here, a
Take
lot
that
of
pill, it's gonna
times.
make you feel better.
What was that? Yeah, just
And so
something
they
to
say
feel.
like take the
Yeah.
pill and they make you feel better, but they're not, really digging deep as to what is the cause of it. Because yeah, you can give me a pill that is gonna make me feel good, but I'm still coming home to a house that I'm not happy. I'm still going to a job that I'm stressed out. I'm still dealing with this. Like you have to again know what it is that you're causing that and try to get help on that.
It's like having a big slash or a wound and putting a band-aid on it. You need
Yeah.
more than just a band-aid. You're gonna need stitches. You're gonna need antibiotics. You got to
Mhm.
take care of the whole problem, not just
Yeah.
treat the symptoms. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
See,
find a
right in
good
the nail.
church
You
and
got it.
huh?
I said you hit it right in the nail. Exactly.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
but yeah,
thank you so much for being with us here, Angie. If you could please do us a favor and pray us out.
absolutely. All right, well, thank you so much for allowing me to be here. And God, thank you so much for all the listeners that are tuning in and everyone that you're just touching on their heart. Thank you for Sergio and everything that he's doing and allow us to continue be a light on this world and just change one person at a time. Again, we are still here for a reason, and that is to search for you, to be in your presence and get our blessings. So I pray and bless you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thanks again, Angie, and thank you everybody for joining us on this episode of Grotto in the Tar Pit. We'll see you next time.
Welcome to the grotto.